This week in the vegetable garden, we're installing deer fencing. Deer browse most of our very common vegetable plants, and while there are many options available for managing deer, the most effective is to use some sort of exclusion fence. Deer can jump over most decorative fences, so we need to use something a little bit different. And there's two main types that are used. One is an electric fence and the other is a mesh fence. And we're installing a type of mesh fence called the deer blocker fencing, and this was donated to us by Nixolite of America. There are many different kinds of mesh fence, and they're made out of wire or polypropylene or a wire that's coated with polypropylene. And the deer fences need to be 8 foot tall to keep the deer from jumping over it. Well, the 8-foot fence keeps deer from jumping over, but there's an opening at the bottom, so we need something else to keep other animals from burrowing under, and we're using some chicken wire for this. Now this chicken wire, we dug a trench all along the base of our fence and we've buried it 18 inches deep. We also have to connect these two somehow and attach them so there's no gaps. And what we've decided is to use a board, and we're going to attach both pieces to the 2x4 and run that along the outside, and it'll make it look a little bit more attractive. Fences can be expensive and don't fit into every landscape. Sometimes they can be a little bit obtrusive, but there's ways of making them disappear into the landscape. One way to do this is to plant them along the edges of the property, especially if you have a woody edge. They kind of disappear. Ours is in a much more exposed area, so we're using a nicer wood frame instead of metal posts, and we're also going to add some trellising once the fence is completed. Fencing is not an option for everyone, and there certainly are other ways to manage deer. For more information on controlling deer in the landscape, turn to OSU Fact Sheet F6427.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.